ready, man? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
So
Here we
dumb.
go. We're going live. They're not there. The
You want any
best part,
powder?
I mean, the best part of this is watching me count. That's always the best part. Because
Okay.
you'll give me the whatever number you want to pick, and then I have to count those suggestions. So pick a number 1 to 24.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, we're on, dude.
We have 20. Oh, well, sorry. We have 24
we
suggestions.
Yes, we got 24. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird. 23. Let's go to the 23rd suggestion.
All right, 23. Oh, this comes from Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Our suggestion is wishing well. Wishing well.
Oh, wishing
Thanks,
well.
Colin.
Apologies in advance, Colin. Thank you. Why are you looking at me like that?
I was wondering if you're going to throw it or not.
I got two things I could wish for in one penny.
Okay, well, I'm not asking you to throw it now. In fact, if you tell me or even give me a hint at either one, it doesn't come true.
Well, then who's gonna advise me on this issue?
I can advise you, but you have to make it real, like general, like vague and nebulous. You can't do anything that would cause me to guess what the wish is. So like, okay, so let's say I wanted new a new suit. I might say something like, hey, sometimes it gets cold and sometimes it gets warm and you go places, right? Do you think it's better when you go places to be more prepared or less prepared? It's something like real general like that. I don't want to say like, should I get a new suit, or, hey, how about clothes? I don't want to do any of that stuff.
But you see, that's an opposite, but it's not a psychological opposite. Because when you say, is it better to be less prepared or more prepared? Who goes, it's better to be less prepared? Who says that? No one says that. So I would say, if I may suggest, I would say, is it better to be more prepared or to have less to carry? See, psychological opposites.
Okay, now this is interesting, Dave, because I'm wondering, is this part of your wish and you don't want to say it's part of the wish, and you're going to get an answer from me based on this?
I'm just worried.
Sure.
I'm worried. I'm worried because like this is my last chance, right? With these things, I'm going to be vague now.
Yeah.
Nothing else has worked. So like, there's this one thing, and I have more of it than other people do. And let's say I have more, and let's call it marbles, right?
Okay.
Everybody has a certain amount of marbles. That's how they get through the world. And society only likes you if you have a certain general amount of marbles. And if you have a lot more marbles, then you doctors give you a lot of hassle, and they don't like it when you have too many marbles. There's a certain amount of marbles that if you stack them end to end, you'd have one measurement, and then if you just put them all in a big jar, you'd have a different one. And they compare those two and they make judgments. And like sometimes, like you can I've had a guy pull me out of line at the airport and say, what's with all the marbles, man? Is this gonna work? Because we only accommodate a certain number of marbles on our plane. And so I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried to put in less marbles. I've tried to play marbles more often in the hope of losing a couple marbles, because every game you lose a couple marbles.
You're getting real. I mean, I think I pretty much know what you're asking.
Well, you see, now I can't wait. Now I have no options.
You're getting real close. The marble thing, when you added the airport part of it, you're worried about your health and your weight.
All right, well, screw that, Penny.
Well,
yeah, I am. Scott,
I am too. I'm worried about my weight and my health. I mean, I
you're
think that's natural.
yeah, yeah, we're in two different ends of this seesaw, and yours is never coming to the ground, right?
True.
Okay, so I'm just saying, Scott, that that's just kind of what I'm working with right now. So I was gonna throw a penny in, because I think Noom is the mafia. So I was just gonna throw a penny in the water and see what happened.
Okay.
What were you? What would you wish for? If you were
If
gonna
I
wish for something, what would you wish for?
if I was you, what would I wish for if I was
No,
you?
I don't want commentary on what I need. I'm saying you. We're
Okay.
both here at this fountain here in this park.
Yes.
So what would you wish if you were going to wish, Scott, in this park?
Okay. Now I'm going to wish, but I don't want you to know. So again, it's going to be a general thing.
I was hoping.
Yep. So let's say that you get on an elevator, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going up. Let's say you're just at the Aon building, right? Right off of
Yeah.
Michigan. Okay. And you get in the elevator and you're not sure, you kind of forget what floor you have to go on. And so you push a button, hoping it's the right floor that you need to get to. So you're like, I hope this is the right floor. You get out of the elevator and the floor looks familiar when you walk in, but you're not sure if that's the floor because maybe they like remodeled or you haven't been there for a while. So maybe they might have remodeled the place. So then you start walking around and you're like, I think this is the right place, but I might not be able to be here at this moment. Maybe the timing is right, or maybe it's wrong. So you get back into the elevator, you go down the elevator, you go outside, and what was once raining is now sunshine. And you feel the sunshine on your face and you're like, yeah, this is where I need to be. So do you then go towards the lake or do you not go towards the lake? And what I need to know is, which way am I going to go?
You got to get over Janine. You got to get over Janine.
I can't. You know, I can't get over her.
Yeah, but then you're going to carry that crap into your next relationship.
That I've already done that. That's what I'm doing right now, Dave.
I know. Delete her number or you're going to keep going up on that elevator thinking that that's the lake and it's not the lake.
But what if that's the one elevator? And there's not another elevator that's going to come, and you sit and you wait in the lobby and you're waiting and you're waiting. You're seeing people walk by and you're like, hi. And then you see the security guard come over and go, is there anything I can help you with? And you're like, no, I'm fine. I'm just waiting for the elevator. But then the elevator never comes. And then you look and it's like, oh, this is the even number bank of elevators. I should go to the odd number. And then you go to the odd number and yep, the same thing happens right there. And you just think, why did I let the best thing ever happen to me go? Why did I do that?
But it was Scott.
It was. You said it. It was the best thing. Is that what you were saying?
No, I don't think. I don't want to deny you, but I don't think that's what I meant. I meant that Janine was. This is what I heard. Janine was at the floor, and sometimes you text her and you go up on the floor and you walk around Janine.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to say like, how do I get away from Janine? And how do I go to the lake where there might be other people who aren't stuck in the lattice?
That's me.
Right?
I'm stuck in the lattice.
You're stuck. That's why the security guard said, what do you need, sir? Because that was the universe or God or whatever you want to say, saying, are you sure you want to go back inside? And you always do because it's familiar. You always do because it's familiar.
God, I mean, you're right.
She's not the best thing you ever had. She's the thing that is familiar. Not that she's a thing. She's a capable person. She should be with someone else. That someone else should not be named Scott.
She's familiar.
She's familiar.
And she feels comfortable because I'm used to that.
Yes, and it keeps you from honoring your future. Your future demands you to change. So you go back to your college girlfriend.
Yeah.
20 years later. I mean, come on.
I'm scared.
I hear that. I'm scared, man. I just had a birthday, and this number of marbles doesn't make it to retirement. All right? We're dealing with real shit out here. Yeah. I get it.
Okay.
Believe me.
Okay. I'm gonna throw it.
You're gonna throw it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a new wish based on the conversation we just had. I'm gonna make a new wish. It's similar. It's like an off ramp of the conversation we just had. I already have the answer now. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna say what I'm wishing for.
You do it.
Screw it. Screw it. I'm
Screw
gonna
it.
say I'm wishing for the strength to be able to not go into those familiar relationships that are toxic for me.
Can I? Oh, all right. All right.
Oh wait. What were you gonna say?
No, I don't want to say it now. You made your wish, you know?
No.
May
Okay.
I just suggest if you could
Yes.
just kind of Sharpie out in your head, not do this and say instead of the strength to not go back in the building, the strength to go to the lake. Right? You've been trying not to go in the building for 20 years and you're still not, right?
God, you're right.
You got to move, right? It can't be about what you not want to do. Look, here.
It's got to be what I want to do.
Right? If I go, hey, I want to eat less crap, then I've told the universe about crap. If I say I want to eat good, nutritious food, right, then I'm attracting what I want. I'm not going to fricking do it, but I'll throw the penny and I'll pray and we'll see what happens.
Why do you think you're not going to do it though?
Have you tasted good food?
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I know.
Good food, like good food is my Janine. Like bad food is my Janine.
Yeah.
Good food is my lake. And, I don't know.
Are you going to make the choice?
Yeah.
Scene. Oh, brother. Yes.
Deep fast. Let's get deep fast. Let's do it. Let's scratch our scabs. Come on.
It's funny because I remember having a teacher, this guy, Martin DeMott, who said,
Heard of him.
Make these scenes about something deeper, right? Make these scenes about more than like the suggestion. Like he would always say, make them about more than that ashtray. Can we make something about that? And I love doing these kind of scenes where it's I know we were both completely improvising, not anything personal at all. This was completely not personal.
I was reading from a pretty well-worn hymnal in my life.
Me too, dude.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm always like all of these moments, especially these ones that get like these philosophical, which are fun ones to me. It's like I'm pulling from my own, like you said, I'm reading from my own hymnal here. It's not like I'm completely creating something new. It's like, no, a lot of this is based in my stuff.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And I think that's what's interesting to me right now in the work is to I keep going back to that, that Joe Bill had this thing, which I'm going to ruin, which is you're seen as a road, but don't be afraid of cul-de-sacs, right? That you can go kind of off the road a little bit, right? Yeah. And I think the road is something real, something impactful, something, at least, even if we don't know what's going on with the characters, something's going on. There's something underneath the surface, right? There's that upstairs, downstairs, something's behind all this, right?
Yes.
And then the cul-de-sac is the humor, right? Is we notice this world is kind of ridiculous. Not the world that we're in, but the world we're all in, right? Not the world of the characters. The world is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so we find those moments in the truth. And I think that's cool.
I mean, as comedians, which we are, as comedic, I mean, we improvise. We also find humor in life. I think comedians find things hilarious, like just the normal stuff, and sometimes the minutiae of things can be quite funny to us. And having those moments of these I'm at a point now, I'm 51, but when I got to be 50, it's like, that's a big turn. And you start looking at things in a different way. And you're like, wow, you start having these thoughts and you start looking and going, some of these things in life can be pretty hilarious. And some things in life we take way, way too seriously. And you go, wow, I'm not on this planet for long. So what are the things I want to continue to take seriously? What are the things I just want to let go and go? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I feel that. I'll also say that part of it is our marination in this world for 20 years, 20 plus years, right? Is that, I can't remember the artist, but there was this artist who he'd lost his wife, and when he kind of saw her kind of laid out in the coffin or whatever, he was horrified because as an artist, he recognized the chiaroscuro, like all the shading that the light was making on her dead face. And so instead of having the moment of a husband grieving for his wife, he went into artist. And I can imagine like the worst moments of my life now, in my head, I crack a joke.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I could never say that joke out loud because the people around me would be horrified, because it's not normal. Like, it's not normal because we're artists.
Right.
And so we see like, if comedy is just the manipulation of surprise in the context of the familiar, and we see something familiar and we go, my stepfather died. Is there sandwiches? Would there be sandwiches here? Right? That's a horrible reaction, right? It comes to my love of marbles, but it is a horrible reaction. And so I can't say it, but there's also part of me that goes, that's darkly funny, right? Yeah. And I think that's where, we have to we can either say that is like just about us being, people who really see things for what they are, and we can be, and that's great. Or we can say like, yeah, we're an artist and that's an occupational hazard, that we're going to find things funny that no one else is prepared to find funny. And so it's okay to keep those jokes in the closet, right?
You keep them to yourself. Sometimes you share them pre-show with other improvisers.
Yeah. And if other comedians, you can talk about the people who have died in your life and make jokes about them, but you can't do it with like, your family, right?
Right. No, exactly.
Sure.
What made you take your first improv class? Like, how did you get in? Yeah, that's right, buddy. That's right. I'm going to ask you that. What made you take your first improv class?
So, let me give some color, because my first improv class wasn't a class. The year was 1993.
Grunge had swept the nation.
Grunge had swept the nation. Yeah. I can't heighten that. I shouldn't have even repeated it. There was no more work to do. I was in a theater company called E52 Student Theater at University of Delaware. We had no improv, right? We were kind of set adrift because the only theater that was like the acknowledged theater was a graduate program. And the first thing the new graduate guy did when he kind of brought his program from Wisconsin, surprisingly there, is he shut down the undergraduate theater program because he only wanted the only theater to be coming through his program.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, I guess, but that left us as just a bunch of extremely pretentious amateurs, right? With no, we're going to take this super seriously. But so somebody brought in a copy of John Stone's Improv and just went, okay, let's try some of this. And so we started doing what we called improvisational theater. And I don't even think we necessarily knew about like Whose Line. I think we just kind of like almost apes picking up the bone, right? And well, I guess we'll throw it around. Like we threw around improv and tried to play improv games and, kind of self-taught. And this was in Newark, Delaware. So it's not like we were like, packing off to Second City. Like we didn't know Second City. We had heard, I think, of Chicago City Limits, but we were nowhere near enough to go, right? So we're just down there doing this stuff. And so I did a lot of, and I'm not proud of this, by the way, but I did a lot of improv without any professional going, oh no, dude, please. Like, no. And there was a lot of that should have been done. And so instead what I did is I performed improv with my troupe at a sports bar in Newcastle, Delaware. And
Solid.
Yeah, right. And not with any audience members' consent. They were just there for the wings and the TV.
Surprise.
And it's like, and now here to make you laugh? ? What improvisational theater, right? And we would play in between sets. I'm not making this up, of a Beatles cover band. Oh. So a guy
God.
clearly wearing a Mo wig and saying that it was like a Beatles wig, is doing his bit, and they get done and they're like, okay, guys. And it's like, we're gonna go take a break, but while we do, and
Oh
so
my
we
God.
do 1 or 2 games, and then we would get rewarded with fries. As long as we drank, we could do improv and we could have fries.
Well, that's pretty good. That's a
Fries are in
pretty
the
good
house.
statement. That's pretty
It
brave.
beats the shit out of exposure. I'll tell you what, we got actual French fries.
You got food.
We got food. And so I came to Chicago thinking like, oh, yeah, I've improvised professionally. I got $5 for one gig once because we were actually paid to be there. So I walked into town like king shit, like, all right, show me what you got. And it was like, yeah, I was like, the party's starting. And all at once, like every improv teacher was like, okay, so why don't we let other people speak in scenes? And we'll see. Sharna literally would give me a note where she would be like, okay, that's great. And now, and she would turn her head to the next and to try and like force me to recognize that other people should get to speak.
Wow.
She was like, that's great, Matt. And
Wow.
I was like, so I came with a tremendous amount of bad habits, right? But I think what I did bring was a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit where it's like I never thought of being cut. Like I got cut from IO after September 11th. So 2 tragedies. Good thing this is being recorded.
Yeah, nobody's seeing it. Nobody's seeing it. Never forget.
But I was in New York City, so I during 9/11, so I missed a couple rehearsals, and I was dealing with some trauma, so I missed one more, and I missed a couple more, I think, and the team had to move on, so the coach took me down and was like, dude, this isn't working. But I never, like, I didn't do the thing of like where you fight to get on another team,
Right.
Because like, I mean, imagine like the place it was in my mind and where I was at, like I still pre-therapy, did not understand trauma, did not understand what I was going through. I was just like, I don't know what the fuss is about. It's like, oh, you're not even conscious right now, dude. So I had a lot of, so like he made the exact right call. Cause I was not in a state to be like, let's come do make-em-ups, shall we? But anyway, like, so when that happened, I don't even know what my point was, but it was something.
Well, you were
Yeah. Entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like, okay, I lost that venue. But like to me, I was like, you know how many bars there are in a city with an unused back room? Like I never understood why teams we got cut and now, like we can never do improv together again. Right. It's like change your freaking name and go and someone has a friend of a friend who has a room. That's somebody does, right?
I forgot because I was at that theater and I at one point was like making the schedule and putting teams in certain areas. Yeah. And when we would have these conversations, I would say to them, this doesn't mean you have to stop performing. Yeah. Go take because each group would be like, we love each other so much. And it's like, awesome. Then keep going. Don't let this or any building define you. Like take this opportunity. You're going to make money if you go to a bar and say, hey, when's your dead night? It's Monday. Cool. Can we use that back corner? We'll take the door. You take the bar. You're going to make money doing it that way rather than betting on some other theater. Bet on yourself.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I will grant you, as someone who ran one of these, it's a tremendous amount of work. And I get why people are like, it's like, there's a threshold, right, of the amount of, Tim Chittister, artistic director for both of us at one point, I think, used to say there's your talent level and your bullshit level. And the moment your talent level gets below your bullshit level, you're out, right? Yeah. So, and that's why some talented people, like, they could stay even though this was high, right?
For sure.
I think there is the thing about when you are deciding to do your improv at a theater, like there is a certain amount of bullshit that they are dealing with for you. You don't have to walk the inspector around to make sure the fire exits are right? So that kind of like handling things for you level is here. Now, if you get cut and you're like, oh, I got to go do that somewhere else, that's just not worth it. Like, I totally understand that. But also you can stay in and be like, okay, well, I got treated like this. But I'll stay. I'll try to get on another team because they're still taking care of me. But I hope there's a point at which people go like, I think we saw that, right? I think we saw that in the 2010s when like every improv group had a brick and mortar space. You
Yeah.
know, now it was like a froyo street fight. Like, you know, on Belmont there were 3 froyo places and
Dude.
5 theaters, right?
Yes. There were like, I think there at one point was, I think there were like 14 or 15 improv theaters in
Yes.
Chicago at one point. That was, and not like that was doing improv one night a week. It's like that was dedicated to doing improv.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
was
yeah.
crazy. And now, because of what's been happening and things have been going virtual and with the pandemic, I think people are also going, wait a minute, we can create our own thing and we don't have to put up with the way that people are treating us at these other places. And then a lot of those other places have stopped existing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's all changing in that entrepreneurial spirit you have. I think we know folks, there aren't a lot of folks like that in improv. There's a lot of people that go, oh yeah, I'll follow you. But there aren't a lot of people that go, well, let's go talk to the bar, or let's go do this, or okay, I'm not doing a show here. I'm going to do a show at this other space. Like, I don't think you have as many people who do that. I think there are more people that say, oh, you said I can't be a part of your theater, therefore I can't do this anymore. Like, they just have that thought.
Yeah, or it's just partitioned in their head, because there's a lot of people who we literally have improvisers all have day jobs, and a lot of them are like, doing everything that is required. Like, they have the skill set, but it's like, I was here's my big parallel. I believe it was the Star Trek Generations movie where we had the introduction of the Nexus, this magical dreamlike place where you could have anything you wanted. And Malcolm McDowell got knocked out of it and spent all this time trying to get into it, right? That was IO, right? It's this magical place where somebody else worries about all the shit. Like, somebody keeps the lights on, somebody has the bar, and all you have to do is play, right? But then you get knocked out of there, and it's like, the good news is you can have all those things, but it's going to take like chutzpah and 20 years. Like, and that sucks. It sucks to get knocked out of the Nexus and then go, now what, right?
Yeah.
And that's, it's a weird segue, but that's kind of what I loved about Comedy Sports, is that once you were in, you were family, right? Like, it wasn't a, well, let's see what happens this month, right? Like, you were there, and there was good and bad with that, and that doesn't mean no one ever got let go from Comedy Sports, but it did, I think, create a certain different dynamic where it was like, you have to do some, at IO, you could stand still and get cut, right?
Right.
At Comedy Sports, you literally had to walk backwards. Like, if you did something bad, or you just didn't live up to your audition, then yeah, something might happen. But the amount of work we tried to do to not do that was insane. The amount of the years of kind of like notes, right, that we would try and give before someone was finally at the door, because we cherished that feeling
and back in the day, the only time people left is if they left. Like, you just kind of it seemed like people just kind of waited for them to go away rather than firing or cutting people. So, like, people were there for a long time. Sometimes they didn't even know why they weren't playing and they weren't given that direction. But I think as it progressed, there were more hands-on directors and like, hey, let me give you some feedback or some notes, and it hopefully helped that. But yeah, it was a thing where it was a long time before people were let go versus I don't even think you know my name and you cut me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And and that's not to say like, I doing the Herald for me felt like flying. Like, I loved my time at IO. I think very highly of Sharna and what she accomplished. I think that's kind of gotten lost in this kind of ex-IO culture of, let's find out how many ways we can criticize Sharna online. Well, I'm gonna get some letters.
To be fair, she's said a lot of things too that has been inappropriate.
I get it, but she has never said anything worse than my aunt has, and I haven't attacked her on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like,
won't let me go on a team anymore either.
I get it. Yeah,
dude, just tell her how good I am. Show her this, all right?
I get it, but I also feel like, having sat in a chair and had to like make some of those decisions and knowing I screwed it up, right? Now, if anybody in one of these roles was like, I stand by everything I did and I have nothing to apologize for. Yeah, screw them, right? But I would say that there are I am I am to some degree. I just hope people get like, if someone's not treating you right, you should totally leave. You should totally let other people know so they can be safe, right? But there's also like, oh man, it is so hard at running one of these things too, right? And I don't run one anymore, so I'm not like trying to defend myself. I'm just trying to say it is a minefield. It is a minefield of trying to keep one of these things open.
I asked a buddy, Levin O'Connor, who was in Chicago for
Mm,
some time, had a space out here in LA when I first moved here about 6 years ago. And I go, how is it, man? He goes, when you first get an improv, your first thought is, oh, I can't wait to clean the toilets. He goes, that's what I'm doing now. And that's
mm-hmm.
the thing, is like there's so much that goes in keeping a business running, let alone an improv theater with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of transient folk coming through, and you're trying to deal with all that. So yeah, there is a moment, there are elements of like, man, when you get into that side of things, you there are a lot of moving parts that you're trying to make work.
Well, and that's why I would say if as much as I spent 20-year career and make my living off of one of these companies, I'd
Mhm.
say one of my favorite ones is Playground, because like there, you're not clean, scrubbing the toilets because someone else who owned it convinced you that if you do it, you'll get more exposure, right?
Right.
It's owned by the collective. The collective balances those kinds of work
Yeah.
ethics. And I'd say like if you can pay someone a living wage to do work, then then be a private company and go with God. That's great. But the moment you can't pay someone for their labor, like
Yeah.
then if we all recognize it's something we love to do, it's just capitalism doesn't get it, then let's find a non-capitalist structure that will support it. And I think that's what the Playground, that co-op model, I just really respected for that reason, because you can't if you're in a small company, you're not going to be able to pay the right amount for everything that needs to get done to keep those doors open.
And that was it. That was the response to what was happening, is like, why don't we form this collective, this co-op, where we put everyone together? And then I do think it incentivizes you more to do those things of like, okay, somebody's got to be at the box office, somebody's got to clean the toilet, I think it does, especially in the community of improv, where you're like, okay, this is more of an ensemble feel, rather than we're doing this for ulterior motives, or I'm cleaning the toilet because I want to get a spot on that SNL showcase, which is coming up, or I'm doing the graphics or things like that. And as somebody who is a part of those artistic decisions, it's like, I got to put person X on a team who's not good at all. Like they just struggle. They aren't of this training yet, because they do the website. And you're like, oh man, okay. So you're juggling that element of it as well, versus the Playground, which was like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you're this team, you have to bring in X amount of money. Like you have to bring in $200 tonight, whether that's one ticket for $200 or 200 tickets for $1, whatever. In the early days, that's what it was. It was like, you're just responsible for this much. You have to cover these nights for the box office and things like that. And it added to that more collective feel.
Mm-hmm. And that does go both ways, because when I was running Comedy Sports, I literally had a conversation with somebody to do our website where I was this might not get you anywhere. Like this is not like, hey, you might get noticed here. I was like, there's always a certain benefit to being around a theater where people are making artistic decisions.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't promise you this is worth your while at all. So do it if you love the organization, but please don't do it because you think you're going to get something. But there's always that person who will still do it, because no matter what you tell them, they're going to kind of go, yeah, but maybe it will help, right? And if that maybe, and I think if I've learned anything is like now being able to look back after these movements that have occurred to kind of bend improv towards justice, right? It's that you can't tell yourself this story of, well, like I laid out the risks and they still did it, so my hands are clean. It's like there's a power dynamic there. You have something they don't, right? So you have to kind of go, oh gee, like should I even offer this deal if it's an unfair deal? Like if I wouldn't take this deal, should I offer it?
Yeah.
And I'm now in a place now, granted, I get to be, because now I don't have to, pay a landlord rent every month. But I really think that as we kind of arc this thing forward towards a more just, inclusive space, like leaders are going to have to kind of, they're going to have to police themselves beyond let the buyer beware,
Right.
Beyond I provide, hey, it's an opportunity. Or, the other thing, which is like, hey, I worked I got into in a sports bar, for French fries. So you should totally work for $5. It's like, yeah, we all came up through trauma, but that doesn't give us, like, it would be ideal if we did not pass that forward. If instead we created spaces where if people want to take on more than they're paid for, then there's another side, like, okay, but then they have a share, right? They have some hand in it.
Yeah.
Because now if you can pay me what I'm worth, great, but if you can't, then we need to talk about changing this relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much of improv up until now has been people trying to pick up one end of that stick and not the other. Right.
True. Dude, so true. And it's like, now's the time. If you aren't gonna, I feel like if you're not gonna make the change, you're gonna be left behind. And you should look at the value and the benefit of making those changes. And like you said, it's like, don't push that trauma forward. There was an element of a certain amount of almost like hazing early on, where it's oh, this was done to me, so then now I can't wait to get in a position to do that. And it's like, no, change that mindset completely. Let it go and try to do good and try to open up those spaces and go, man, if we have more voices, our shows are going to be richer. If we have more opportunities, that's going to make everyone better, rather than, oh, I can't wait to be in your spot so I can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We solved it, Matt. We
solved it. Yeah. Now I was just thinking of like all the people who are actually running theaters right now who are like, you haven't looked at a P&L in 5 years, you dip. I get it. Like it is an easy thing to say, right? But you're right that right now is the moment of like, everyone has an incredible permission right now to reinvent themselves, because no one knows what the rules are going to be of the next normal. So like, decide now.
Yes.
This is why I'll tell you, like, I'm here today with my Matt Elwell hat on, no other hat on. Right. But what I can tell, a tale out of school, I can tell from CSE Worldwide, which license all of comedy sports, is that, I'm harping and our DEI group is harping internally on like, really ramp up your DEI work right now, like work up your advocacy of your players right now, because you're in this great moment. It doesn't feel great, but you're in this great moment where your players can only talk to each other through electronics right now. Right. And so the chance for someone to hurt someone else, the vectors of harm are constrained right now. So like right now is the time to get your processes and procedures, your policies in place around inclusion, around anti-harassment, around equity, because you can now start, like, how many improv theaters get a chance to reopen their doors? Right. So now before the first time they're in the same room together, set these expectations virtually so that when they come into the space, they understand consent. Right? People are going to come into spaces. They're going to be like, I haven't seen my friends in 2 years. I know what I'll do. I'll run and hug every single damn one of them. And it's like, no, don't come near me. Like, please, I'll do an elbow. Right. So what a great chance to talk about consent, right? Doing consent checks before shows, pronouns. Like, you were so nice as to ask me my pronouns before I came on. Like, those are the kinds of things we can normalize now.
You can normalize it, and you can be proactive in these situations and go, let me look at myself to see, what do I need to change? Let me just have an honest assessment of what I'm doing. And then I can only do what I can do. So I can't ask other people to do, like, just worry about me. And then that will ripple out. And your new nickname now is going to be Matt Elbow, because you're going to elbow.
Hey kids, let's keep that social distance. That's what Matt Elbow says. Yeah. We're replacing Howie, and now we're doing Matt Elbow. Is the new socially distant, socially conscious and aware.
Oh my God.
Woke mascot.
If people
how horrifying that would
God. Well, on that note, if people want to reach out to you, but you are a coach and a teacher and a coach, a business coach as well, and you teach like a lot of philosophies, and you do a lot of facilitation work outside of improv. If they want to reach out to you and connect with you and want to hear more about that and about some of the work you do, what's the best way they can do that?
Thank you so much. So, I mean, obviously I wear a lot of hats, and if you're like, I'd like to bring comedy sports to my random corner of the world, that's a specific hat of mine. You can always email me at matt@mattelwell.com, M-A-T-T at MATTELWELL.com about anything, if it's about comedy sports, if it's about whatever. But I'll say that, if you want like me without other hats on, my new company is called The Play Polarities. So it's playpolarities.com, Play polarities, POLARITIES.com. It's using improvisation and some of the work of Barry Johnson on polarities management to kind of come together to a what I call a holistic system for organizing one's approach to self-improvement. Wow. So, so much of what we do in improv is teaching people like, oh, it's communication, it's leadership, it's this, it's that. We're teaching people how to get better at getting better. Yeah. So I've designed a model around that using these different, basically when I lost 4 months of work in a week during COVID, I kind of curled into a ball and decided to build a company because I was like, there's nothing left. But I've done that, and there's something in there that if you go to the website, you'll find a thing called Playdates. And that's actually, not so much improv, but improvisers would certainly be welcome, which is, it's a networking group for people who want to improve themselves and people who work with other people. So if you're in HR, if you're in talent development, if you're in sales enablement, if you're in any of these things where like most of my job is taking care of other people in some structured way, it's a great fit for you. It's a great place for you to come and hang out and generate real connection. So like, that's a great place to find me, and all my contact and how to schedule a 22-minute call with me. It's all on there. You can find it at the contact page, and I would be more than happy to connect with people and not improvise for 10 minutes with them.
Matt, this is that company sounds amazing. Like it's perfectly timed out for what is needed right now. And whether it's virtual, in person, whatever it is, I can't wait to play with you again, my friend. I love you so much. Thanks for taking time out.
Thank you so much, buddy. This was awesome.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, pal.
All right. Bye.